Anyone who's ever tried to figure out what throwing program they should do in the off-season quickly finds a million options. It can become incredibly confusing, but it's important to select the right training program because that one single choice can be the determining factor between actually getting better or just spinning your wheels. So what should you look for in a throwing and lifting program when starting a more advanced training path? In today's video, we are going to walk through our free 16-week throwing and lifting program, which we of course believe is the best option in most cases. But we also want to simply arm you with the information you need to select a program that's right for you, regardless of who you get that program from. Let's get into it. When selecting the throwing program that works best for you, you're going to want to look for these 5 key elements. 1, has time up front for on-ramping at the start of the program. 2, has a clear phase for velocity training that comes after on-ramping. 3, complements throwing with a lifting program. 4, has plenty of recovery time built in. And 5, wraps up the program with a phase to help you translate training gains to the game. Let's unpack each of those elements, starting with on-ramping. On-ramping as the first phase of your throwing program is very important and often glossed over by eager athletes looking to get to work. But this phase is critical for helping you build a physical base, both for throwing and in the weight room, that will prepare you for the high-intensity training that comes in the next phase. We need to properly on-ramp by slowly working up to max effort throwing to ensure the body can handle the stress of high effort throws. If you instead jump straight into high-intensity training, particularly if you're coming straight off of a period where you have taken time off from throwing or training in general, you are not doing yourself any favors. Take on-ramping seriously. After completing your on-ramp phase, a well-structured program will progress into a multi-week velocity phase. This will look different for different programs, but the driveline throwing program has a velocity phase that spans 6 weeks. This is the phase that every pitcher loves. You finally get to let it loose and chase those velo gains that you've been looking for. But the most important aspect of a velo phase, and probably the most overlooked aspect, are your recovery days. Recovery days are one of a few different day types that you'll see in a program like ours. The 3 types of days we program for are recovery, hybrid, and max intent velocity days. Recovery days are the most common variation and are the lightest intensity and probably have the most importance. The goal is to move the arm without high intensity to prepare the athlete for higher intensity throwing days. Properly executing your programming during recovery days is always important, and even more so during a velo phase. You need to manage your workload with lighter effort days in between high intensity bursts to ensure the body is recovering between each high intent day. Handling your recovery days properly during a velo phase can in a lot of cases be the difference between actually making gains versus hitting a plateau or worse due to fatigue. Make sure your throwing program has plenty of these days built in and execute them properly when the time comes. The second day type you'll see in our programs are hybrid days. These will be your medium intensity throwing days where you can work on making mechanical tweaks without going full speed. And then we have the high intent velocity days, which will often consist of plyo velos, pull down throws, weighted ball mound velo, or general mound velo sessions. Each of these days are designed to have the athlete moving at 100% effort in order to build velocity and teach the body to move faster. The final phase in the driveline throwing program, and another critical phase that we'd advise anyone seeking out a throwing program to look for, is the competition phase. The competition phase is all about preparing you to return to the field for competition. Hopefully you saw some meaningful gains come during your velocity phase, but those gains will be meaningless unless you can translate them to the mound and maintain the ability to command the ball and complement velocity with strong secondary pitches. This phase is probably where you'll see the most variance among the most common throwing programs. But at Driveline, you can expect to utilize pitch design sessions to refine your secondary offerings, command work to dial in your feel on the mound, and live ABs to fully acclimate yourself to game conditions. So those are the 3 phases you're going to want to look for: on-ramping, high-intensity training, or velocity phase, and a competition phase to get you prepped for the season, along with specific day types that make up the day-to-day contents of each phase. These are the most critical elements, but there are a few more things to keep in mind when selecting the best program for you. Even the best structured program is not going to be that useful if it isn't accompanied by clear guidelines for how to actually execute the specific drills and exercises required. At Driveline, we make this easy with access to our video library. This library gives instructions on each movement you will perform in the program. It details all drills, shoulder tube warm-ups, bands, and more. Even if the program you choose doesn't have great documentation around the exercises required, you may be able to refer to resources like this one to guide some of the execution. On the strength side, a high-quality program is going to focus on building sound general athleticism and strength, and not necessarily super sport-specific movements. This means that very few exercises in this program will look like anything a player does on the field. Instead, they will focus on building the physical characteristics needed to perform. The lifting part of our free programs primarily use compound lifts like the squat, deadlift, and bench press to build strength and encourage hypertrophy, and sprinting/plyometric exercises to help build power and speed. Training this way helps to develop properties that will show up on the field and help the athlete at the next level. The last things to cover are some strategies for getting the most out of your program. Whatever you end up choosing, you should know a few things to ensure you get the most out of it. Most programs are designed to be performed exactly as laid out, particularly when it comes to throwing volume and workload. Velocity development is a deliberate process that requires a lot of hard work and no shortcuts. Resisting the urge to do more even though you may feel good on a particular day is essential. Whatever program you take part in, you should commit to doing it exclusively. Do not mix throwing programs. You will minimize effectiveness and create opportunities for problems like overtraining and general confusion. Performing one program fully is much more productive than doing multiple partially. Choose the program that works for you, commit to it, and see it through. Ideally during the off-season. This level of focus and commitment often leads to far better results than the alternative. Choosing the right off-season throwing and lifting program is crucial for any baseball player aiming to improve performance and avoid injuries. Our free 16-week throwing and lifting program offers a structured and comprehensive approach designed to meet the needs of athletes 14 and older who are ready to build strength and increase their throwing velocity. Each phase is carefully designed to prepare the body progressively for the demands of high-intensity throwing and competition. Additionally, the program emphasizes the importance of recovery with specific routines and exercises tailored to maintain shoulder health and overall arm strength. By committing fully to this program and understanding its components, athletes can make significant strides in their training and be well prepared for the demands of the upcoming season. Choosing the right program can set you on a path of improvement that could change your career.